Transformers96 here, and this, if you're watching this, it's either almost the end of 2012, or it is now 2013, and during this time, I know a lot of people do this, and I also try to do it, is, I'm going to go over different toy lines and different toys, and which ones I like the best, which ones I like the least. So this video is just going to be about me talking about the individual toy lines. I'm not doing it in order, so if you see one first, that's not the toy line that I like the least. It is just the way I'm starting it. Just going to be my general thoughts on each toy line that I collected in 2012 that came out in 2012. So let's get to it. So one toy line that I collected this year was the Dark Knight Rises Movie Master toy line. And overall, this toy line was pretty good. I liked it a lot. One thing that I liked about it was the range of characters. Lots of cool characters, some of them that weren't even in the new movie, but that they just never had released before, so they released them now, which I really liked. Not a huge amount of figures, I'm gonna say at most there was like 8, and counting the 2-packs and stuff. But overall, the range of characters was really nice. I love when toy lines do Build-A-Figures, and this one did, and it was a very cool Build-A-Figure. I liked it a lot, the bat signal, of course. And overall, it's really cool. The one thing I did not like about this, well, there's actually 2 things. One of the things is, a lot of the figures, they just weren't too fun. I mean, you got them, you put them on your shelf, and they look great. There's just not a lot of fun stuff that you can do with them, mostly because they have the same articulation, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's more DC articulation, which I think is a bit hindered in some places. But overall, they didn't have too much fun stuff you can do with them. And a lot of the figures were reused, at least the bodies were. With Ra's al Ghul, Alfred, parts of Blake, and parts of Gordon. Those figures were all kind of reused parts. So, didn't like that. The other thing I didn't like was how they distributed this toy line. Was just horrible. I will say that. Batman's flooded the stores, and they still are. Those are the only things that you go to any store, you can find 10 Batmans. Just really, that was awful. And then because of that, they made it so hard to get the rest. Bane at first was hard to get, but then you could find him after a little while. Alfred, I've only seen once in my life to date. I've never seen him again. Ra's al Ghul and Catwoman were very hard to find. I've only seen them about 2 times a piece. And the 2-packs were pretty easy to get, and Gordon from the Walmart exclusive, very hard to find. I've only seen him about twice. Blake, I have still never found. I do have him over there. That's just because a friend of mine on YouTube, Toys210, he was able to find him, and he sent them to me. I have yet to actually see him in person at a store, and so that is a shame. But overall, the toy line was really nice. I really enjoyed it, and they had a lot of cool figures. The Amazing Spider-Man toy line. So overall, this was an interesting toy line, mostly because it was, I think, the only toy line that I collected this year that only had 2 figures. They were Spider-Man and Lizard. They're not going to make a Gwen Stacy. They're not going to make the Captain. So they only had 2 figures to base off of, and they just made a bunch of different versions of those 2 figures. I have the Mini-Mates, the 3 3/4 inch, the 6 inch, the like 8 inch, and then the Select. I have almost all of them. The only one that I'm missing is the 6 inch Spider-Man, but I didn't really care for it. But anyway, just a lot. This was really weird because of that. So it was a lot of different versions of character, and overall that's good for some people, not good for the others. I can't fault the toy line for it because there aren't any other characters that are figure friendly to make, so I understand that. But overall, it was a decent toy line. A couple figures that were but a couple amazing figures. Speaking just the 3 3/4 inch one, the Lizard is really bad. Spider-Man is amazing. And the Select, both of the Selects were good. But overall, an interesting toy line, pretty good overall. But you could have definitely just got 2 figures and be done with this toy line. But overall, it's pretty nice. Onto the G.I. Joe Retaliation toy line. So this toy line was very interesting, mostly because it got cancelled. Well, not quite cancelled. It got delayed, because the movie got delayed about 8 months. So they already bought out the first wave of toys, and then the movie got delayed. So it is going to be, we will get some more toys, but they won't be until February, March. But overall, this first wave was really nice. This was a toy line that I did not plan on collecting any of 2012, and I ended up really liking and enjoying them. Just they look cool. The Cobra Commander, I first saw him, and that's what really got me into collecting it, because he looked really nice. And as I bought figures, I realized that they're very well done. They have really great articulation, especially the ninjas, and that's what I like. You know, the ninjas, the ones that are really supposed to be very posable, they have a great articulation, and the others, they still have good articulation, but not quite as good. And I like that. They actually, you know, did the articulation based off of the character, which is pretty cool, and not a lot of toy lines do that. Overall, it was very nice. Distribution of this toy line was really good. I mean, there was some that you'd have to hunt for, but they weren't serious hunts. They weren't impossible. If you just went to a couple stores, you should be able to find them. And overall, just, I really enjoyed it. They had a lot of cool things, some cool, fun gimmicks. This is the one toy line. Typically, I hate the gimmicks. This toy line, I liked the gimmicks. They were fun. They were neat. They were great for kids, and they were also fun for collectors, which is just really neat. Overall, I really enjoyed this toy line and didn't expect to. On to Men in Black 3. So this toy line, when I saw that they were coming out with toys, you know, I did actually kind of want to buy them, because I know I liked the Men in Black 3 movies, I always have, and I thought that they'd have some cool aliens and stuff. The first wave came out, and they looked pretty cool, so I got the whole wave, and, you know, they're okay. They were nice. They had some decent articulation. A lot of the parts were reused, but overall the character choice was pretty nice. I did like that, and I was under the impression that there would be 2 more waves, and there just wasn't, and I was really bummed out about that. So they didn't have, it was a 1-wave toy line, which I really just hate, and the figures, they weren't that great to begin with. They were all right. I liked the character choice, but they weren't great. They were all just distributed. I thought that blanking my name, Tommy Lee Jones, Agent K, that's right. I thought that he'd be a harder one to get, because they were packaging him 1 per box, and he was not hard to get. None of these guys were hard to get. It took the fun out of kind of collecting them. I don't like them to be too hard to get, but you know, a little hunt is kind of fun, and overall, just really didn't enjoy this toy line too much. Picked them all up in like 1 day, and you know, reviewed them, and that's about it. So overall, did not like this toy line. Really didn't like it for multiple reasons, but there you go. Let's really quickly talk about Prometheus. Overall, these toys came out a lot later than the actual movie came out, which I found very strange and didn't really like. I wasn't planning on getting them. I kind of got one, and I loved it. The toys for this toy line were just great. Really had fun with both of them. Extremely great in detail and articulation. Really well sculpted, beautiful figures. The only problem is there weren't too many figures. We will be getting some more, but by the time we get like Wave 3, it'll be like a year from when that movie was released. So I really don't like that. I think that the figures should have come out a little faster, but overall, they're actually, if you're willing to wait, the figures are beautiful, which is really nice. So overall, the distribution and when they decided to come out with the toy line wasn't fantastic, but the figures were enough to make it up, because the figures were just amazing. Next up, we have the Star Wars The Vintage Collection. Overall, the actual figures in this toy line were spectacular. Really loved almost all of them. They had a very unique look, unique characters, and great articulation, especially in that Darth Maul. The Darth Maul blew me away, and overall just really enjoyed the actual toys, and very few reused parts, if any, and overall they just looked really spectacular. The biggest problem I had with this was just the distribution. Really, I mean, the first wave, you could pretty much get anybody the first day they came out. There was a couple that you had to look for, but by now you have seen all of them if you're a toy collector. I mean, they're very easy to come by. But then the following waves were extremely hard to get. Just really hard to find. Some waves are online waves because they just never came to retail, and then it's the end of the toy line too. So they're beautiful figures. They're crazy hard to get your hands on it if it's not the first wave. Every other wave was crazy hard to get, and I really had a lot of figures that I would buy from this toy line, just couldn't find them and did not want to pay to ship them in. So overall, I really wish that I could have gotten some more figures, but because of the way that they put them out, I didn't. But overall, nice toys, horrible distribution. Onto the Arkham City toy line. So this toy line was pretty interesting. I hadn't collected it before. This was my first collecting of the Arkham series. So I really enjoyed it a lot. One of my favorite toy lines of the year. They came out with some beautiful figures, and the characters that they're based off of are amazing. I love the gritty takes on these really neat classic villains. But overall, I really loved it, really enjoyed it. There weren't that many waves. I mean, the first wave with the Harley Quinn, the Batman, and the Robin, I don't know if that came out in 2012, but overall there just weren't that many waves, but there was a good amount of waves. I'm not really complaining, but overall, a good amount of waves. Figures are priced highly, but they're sculpted highly, so overall it's pretty nice, and I really did enjoy collecting this toy line. Now for the Hobbit toy line. This is the newest toy line of the year, and overall an extremely enjoyable toy line. I had a lot of fun with it, although, you know, I wish I could have had a little longer. Came out right at the end. But overall, some awesome figures. I really did like the figures. The wolf there, the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, just a fantastic figure there. That's great. Love the sculpts on these guys. Articulation is really great. I was afraid that articulation would be more like the Avengers. Not the case. These guys have awesome articulation and beautiful sculpts. Overall, just an extremely awesome toy line. I would like to see a couple more characters. There was some more characters in the movie that I would have liked to see be turned into toys that just weren't, and I haven't heard anything about a Wave 2, so I'm assuming that there's no more toys coming out, but of course, because there's a movie every year, we will get another series in next December, and then the December after that, we'll get the third series. So even if this is the only Wave, you know, to know that there's another movie coming out so soon with another toy line, it's not awful. But overall, a really nice toy line. Would have liked some more characters, but still really great as far as the individual toys. On to Marvel Legends. I do have more Marvel Legends figures. They're just pretty spaced out, so I'm just hitting a group just so I can, you know, because it's got a Wave 1 figure, Wave 2, and a Build-A-Figure. So overall, this was an interesting toy line. I didn't really collect the first Marvel Legends by Toy Biz. I only bought some of the Build-A-Figures, but this new wave I was really looking forward to, and the first wave I picked up almost everybody. They're great figures. The only problem is they're pretty hard to find. The first wave I found just about all the rare figures. My first run, my first seeing them, I found them, but then I didn't find them again for so long. So it must have been frustrating for some of you guys to actually find them. And the same thing happened to me for the second wave. The first time I saw them, I got all the rare figures, and then I never saw them again. So that's the thing. I got lucky twice in a row, which was pretty impressive. I'm sorry, that was my phone. So that was pretty impressive, but that probably didn't happen to a lot of you, so it must have been a little frustrating trying to find them. I love the Build-A-Figures. I love Build-A-Figures, so I'm so happy that Marvel Legends was doing them. They came out with the Terrax, which is a little bit... Is his name Terrax? Yeah, I think it is. That's screwing me up with Parallax. But anyway, he's a little bit smaller than the average regular Build-A-Figure from waves in the past years. But, you know, it was acceptable to me. He is still taller than the tallest Marvel Legends that I have. So that's good, even if he wasn't quite bulky. And then we come over and we get just a little smaller with the Arlim Zola. I still liked it a lot, though, even if he was smaller than some of the actual figures in the wave, which was disappointing. The figure was done beautifully. I love the fact that there was a variant. I did really like that. I ate it right up. Did exactly what they probably wanted me to do and bought them both. But overall, I did like that. Then Wave 3 comes out, which I still have never found. That's how rare it is. I never found it. And there's no Build-A-Figure, which is disappointing. Because of that, I probably won't buy any people in the wave. If I buy one, it'll probably be Dr. Doom, and that's about it. And then the next wave that's coming out is the Build-A-Figure is about smaller than a Marvel Universe one, which is insane, and it's just kind of an insult. I'd rather they just didn't do a Build-A-Figure. I really don't like that a lot. So this Marvel Legend started up high, but it's going down, and it's going down fast. But overall, it was decent for this year. Onto the Marvel Universe toy line. So this is one of my favorite toy lines of all time, not just this year, just because I have loved it from day one. They came out with so many different characters, and a while ago, they came out with a lot of waves. This was my only gripe about this year. Not a lot of waves. We got about 3 waves. I don't know if that Professor X is counted because that wave isn't even out yet. But overall, it was just 3 waves. Plus, the bases got taken away from us. So that did hurt a little bit. But the figures still maintained their awesome looks and their great articulation. But the characters, this is more of a personal thing for me. I didn't enjoy the characters too much. You know, Beast and Craven, I really got to get, but other than those two, not a huge amount of characters that were really just great, iconic characters. More of Sideline that only some people like, which was a little interesting. That's just my personal opinion, though, so take that with a grain of salt. But overall, I did enjoy this toy line like I do every single year. Cannot wait for it next year. Hope that they come out with a variety of waves, with you know, a variety of figures that are more well known, like Kane here. I don't really know him, but that's just me. But overall, really did enjoy it, and I'm happy to collect it as long as they keep coming out with it. With the Avenger toy line, this was, I think it was probably my most anticipated toy line of the year, and they distributed a lot of different figures, of different sizes, of different calibers. Just really, I did like that a lot. Starting off with Minimates, had fun with those. I didn't collect Minimates until this toy line, so I liked them a lot, and I did buy the entire series, and was really liking them. The 3 3/4-inch figures, the character choice was great. A lot of cool characters. The only problem was, and the actual figures are really cool, but the articulation was cut heavily from just a year ago when we got Captain America and Thor. They were just cut heavily, which was a shame. I was really looking for some cool, fun, you know, lots of posable figures, and we really didn't get them. Unfortunately, it was a shame. It really was. But then the 6-inch line came out a little later than I would have liked, but they came out, and they were really cool. Being a bit hard to find. Apparently, they're hard to find, but for me it didn't matter, because when I first went out I found Loki and Hawkeye, picked them up. Captain America, and I already had Thor and Iron Man. Captain America was easy to find, and Hulk was supposed to be so hard to find. I found him pretty soon, and I actually found 2, one a couple months after, so it wasn't a hunt for me too much, but you know, it could have been if it was hard for you guys to find. And then the Select toy line was really cool. They came out with some really lovely figures. I really loved them, and they also came out with Iron Man if you missed out on that, which I did, so that allowed me to complete them all. Would have liked the Black Widow, but other than that, it's pretty cool. Black Widow got gypped. I would have liked to see her in the 6-inch line, especially since the 6-inch line was more for collectors, I think, because the kids would go for the 3 3/4-inch or the Minimates before they did that. So, you know, I kind of get that these are kind of targeted more for boys, so Black Widow isn't the best if you're trying to market for kids, but for the toy lines that are mostly for collectors, I don't see why they didn't do it, especially with the Select. But overall, small gripe, I did like the toy line a lot, be it a downgrade in articulation. As far as the Transformers Prime toy line for this year, this was yeah, other than the first edition, this was the first year that Transformers Prime made toy line, and I have to say, really glad with it. They came out with a variety of different figures, and from that, a lot of different sizes of those figures too, which was just really well done. The leaders fell short for me. They only came out with Prime and B that nobody likes, but anyway, the actual figures themselves were really great. Distribution of these figures was spot on. I love that. They came out with a lot of waves. They broke them up into nice pieces. They came out at good times, almost a wave a month, you know, a little bit spread out, maybe a wave every 2 months, but overall it came out really nice, very slow, very calm, and it progressed. You got a lot of them, and there was not too many figures that were impossible to find. The Viacon was really hard to find when it first came out, but they fixed that, because the next wave they packed them 2 per case, so now they're very easy to find now, which was really neat. I love the way they did that, and it was one of the best toy lines of the year, I think, and possibly, looking at it just from how they came out with them, maybe the best, but that's, I'm not saying that for sure, so think I did. But anyway, I really did like it. The toys, the actual toys from this toy line varied very much. I'm going to do a top 5 best toys of the year, and or top 10 best toys of the year, and I'm probably going to do a top 5 worst toys of the year. And one of these figures made it on the top worst, and one of them made it on the top best, if I do a top worst. So the figures very much varied in how good they were, and I like that, there was a lot of different kinds, a lot of different characters, well distributed, and just well done overall. So those are my thoughts on the toy lines that I collected during 2012. Please let me know which ones you collected, and which ones you liked the best, and which ones you liked the least. I'd love to know. So there you go, so thanks for watching.